Hello, for the participants that just joined, I'm going to put you in a room and just say you're going to go in later because you're going to use it for when the judges are doing deliberation.
Okay.
Okay? Perfect. Thank you. And same thing for the judges. So for the new participant, I'm going to add you to a room just so you'll go in later because you're going to use that room when the judges are deliberating. For the participants, is everyone here?
For our group?
Yeah, for your group.
No, we're still missing 2.
Okay. There's someone in the team waiting room.
What's
She just has
called?
to come back to the main room. It's Lisa. Can someone tell Lisa to just come back to the main room, please?
Yeah.
And after that, you guys are still missing 2?
Still missing 1.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, one.
1. Is the last person going to be joining us soon? Or was that person with the laptop problem?
No, that was someone else.
Okay.
I'm not sure where she is.
Yeah, I think Esther was
Esther.
here a little earlier, so I
Okay.
don't know what happened.
Could she be in the breakout room you just invited us to?
She's here now. She's here now.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Now we're complete.
Good.
Lisa, could you share the presentation?
Hi, everyone. I'm the timekeeper for your presentation. So I just wanted to let you know what the schedule will be like. So you have 15 minutes exactly to present. That will be followed by a 15-minute Q&A period. Then there will be the 5-minute deliberation period by the judges. So I'll ask all the judges to go into their designated breakout room for deliberation. Then there will be a 10-minute feedback period. So I'll have my camera on the whole time to give 3 different time warnings. So I'll give one at 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute left. And that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions?
I had questions, but somehow my share isn't of my screen isn't sharing. I don't know why. Lucas, are you able to?
Let me check. Hmm. Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, perfect. All right, so just so that it's fair, I guess we can start at 3:28 if that's good with everyone. All right, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for joining. Our apologies for the delay. Well, we are a New Way solution, and this is our solution. Next slide, please.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Our product is inspired by the current product because there has been a lot of. We are sure there has been a lot of testing. Soldiers have already worn the product, has tested it, and they seem to like it. However, there are a few points that could be improved. We based a part of our product on the current product. Our product will be placed on the chest. That can depend. The position can depend on the soldier. So on the left side, on the right side. It can be detached with a clip that the current product also uses, and it has multiple buttons. You can go to the next slide, and Esther will tell you more about this.
Yeah, so this is our concept. The head of the product, you can tell, you can say it's the head. That's sort of the same as it is now. So on the left side here, you can see there are two buttons. That is for channel 2 and 3 for radios if they are connected. And then on the right side, you have another channel button and the volume. So then there is a changeable unit, and you can put multiple kinds of buttons on there, depending on what kind of operation you have. So for instance, you just have to communicate, you can put on buttons for communication, or you have to fly a drone, you can put something else there. But we'll dive deeper in that in a second. And then the bottom part is the dongle, which is exactly the same as the one they are using now. So you can go to the next page. So these are a couple of variations we have thought of. You can put in the changeable unit. So on the left one, you can see, for instance, you have just two buttons. If you have to just react with copy or deny when somebody has told you something, so it's just like a reaction, like an automatic SMS will be sent and received. The second example are two joysticks. You can just take it off your vest and you held it in your hands, and then you can use the joysticks to, for instance, fly a drone. Because of this, you don't need another tablet or other device you can fly your drone with. You can just do it with the device you already have on you. And because you can connect the device like a mobile phone, you can use that as a screen. So you already have the phone with you, so you can use that screen. And then on the right side, we also added a screen application to the product. You can use it, for instance, for GPS. You can use the buttons for installing it or setting it the way you want to. So these are just a few applications. You can make it in different sizes and different buttons. These are just a few examples, and you can really vary that for the needed the goal. Yeah, next slide, please. So we found a couple of requirements, and you don't have to read it all. We're just gonna grab a few. So this is a product used in one big system, which is the Care Center 2. And there are a couple of things they wanted to optimize. The feedback said that it was not optimal enough. So there was the size, which we made variable. The orientation of the cables, which can be, you can change the orientation of the cable on the top. Also, they wanted different types of controls, which we have done with the changeable unit. And also, there are a lot of devices that have to be connected to them. So, for instance, a GPS device, the heads-up display unit, you can edit remote sensors, or a drone, you can all edit. And in the future, they may have robots or radios. So because the unit is changeable, you can also add that to the product. So yeah, that's a little bit about the requirements.
All right, so then I'm going to talk about more of the one of the business aspects, and that's who are we going to be marketing these new products to. So we are mainly focused on the United States military. As you guys probably know, it's the largest military. It's one of the largest military, and it's by far the military which has the largest federal budget and receives the most expenditures to their military. So we thought this was a good idea, as they obviously would be more willing to explore a new and kind of expensive product and introduce it to their current military. We thought that the best branch, we thought we could aim the product at all branches. So the United States Marine Corps, the United States Army, the United States Air Force, and the United States Navy. But then more specifically, we wanted to target the special force operations and the specialists of these branches, as they they're always the units who have the most challenging missions. They're also the units who comparatively get the most funding from the government. So we thought this would be a good target segment to let them try out the new product and also be able to optimally use it when doing challenging missions.
The marketing plan. The goal of our company and the product that we created was to focus and supporting on the US military with the new and improved HID. With this product, we want to improve the working skills within the military operations. Our new and improved HID has to make their lives easier while working. We heard that many men weren't pleased with the size and the orientation of the old devices. The new HID is the solution to that problem. The new HID has a unique design with new features, one of you will have never seen before. The new HID is mostly focused on being modular, meaning that each soldier can personalize their device. Do they want the HID, or do they want it smaller or bigger? Do they want less buttons or more buttons? The benefit of the HID being flexible is that every device of the military can choose what they find important during the operations. Because we are targeting different segments, they obviously need different kind of options. As told before, our target segment is focused on specialists and special forces. They are part of different segments of the US military, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Army. Like we said before, by focusing on those target segments, we are focusing on around 77,000 employees that are currently active. And now you are probably, can we go to the next slide, please? And now you are probably wondering what our price strategy is. Customer-based value pricing. What does our target segment want with the new HID? Is the newest device, and of course, with the best new features. How is our company based within the eyes of the customers, and is the company reliable, and the product? Competition-based pricing. What are the prices of our competitors? Their current price of the HID is between $580 and $1,300. Our price of the brand new and improved HID is around $1,400. And you're probably wondering, how did we end up with that kind of price? we have different kind of parts within the device. We have the bases and we have the middle part. The cost of the base, the cost of the base HID is around 100 euros to make, meaning that we have around a revenue of $700. The second part, the extended part, is also around 100 euros to make. We will have a revenue of $500, meaning that that the end price is around $1,400. Yeah, now I'll give the work back to Lucas.
Yeah, thank you. This is a very basic sales and revenue projection that we made. They're just figured on they're based on the figures that Lisa just provided. So up top here we have the first period in which we would start rolling out once the product is completely developed and manufactured. Then we have the subsequent months. So the way we thought it would go is perhaps they would start with a small number first, as they wanted to explore how well it worked with a small focus group of the military. And then eventually we will gradually go all the way up to the 77,000, which encompasses all the special forces members of the US military. Then the production costs are based on the numbers that Lisa also gave, so around $500 to produce, and then just multiplied by the amount of people, amount of purchases, I mean. Same with the revenue, so we figured that they would cost $1,400 per device, and then we just subtracted the cost from the revenue to come to the profit. And as you can see, after 9 or 10 months, we expect to have a substantial revenue and profit. This concludes our presentation. So we hope that it's clear for you guys, and yeah, we would like to hear your feedback and questions.
We'd all be modest. Do you want me to kick off with 3 questions, guys, or will someone else prefer to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Linda or Daniel, or Ali, any of you guys wish to start, or will I start?
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes. Okay,
well, I presume the timekeeper won't start for 15 minutes till I start asking questions, which I'll do now. Firstly, thank you very much for your presentations, very interesting. I'll give a couple of quick questions. One, just to understand what you're recommending, is it correctly that you're using the existing kind of form or the shape it has, and you have plug-in, plug-out modules, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, because...
So just go with me a sec, that's fine. So that means, does that mean that the soldiers have to carry a few different plug-in modules with them, or do they have one? That's one question. Secondly, then, when you're selling the product, do you sell the product with a specific plugin, or do you sell it with multiple plugins?
Yeah, so just your first question was whether they travel with all them on the mission, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
yes.
So we thought from the base, they just went on a mission and they have a specific target. For instance, they're going to use a drone. So then they're going to plug in the drone module. If they end the mission and they go back to base, then they can change it. That's sort of how we thought of it. Next to that, it is around 7 centimeters by high by 30 centimeters thick and 10 wide. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty small, and you can really easily pack it in a backpack. Right. And as for the sales, yeah, we thought it just like a package deal. So, but also when you need, there are specific units within the military that have specific purposes. So they can choose to use only 2 kinds of modules, for instance, and only buy those. But it's more like a general, what's it called, average pricing of a module and the entire product.
Okay, and I just you talked about putting a GPS module into the device, but the military normally have GPS built into a kind of mapping unit, or they might have it on an in-helmet camera. Why would you? What led you to believe putting another device or a screen, for example, into the interchange device, into the interface? What was the logic for putting a screen in?
We named the GPS as an example, but you can
Mm.
also replace the screen by a small message unit, for instance.
Mm.
So when
Okay.
the soldier gets a message or an
Mhm.
order or a code, maybe a coordinate, they
Mm.
can also they can push a button to let them know that they received it, that they understand,
Okay.
or something like that. The GPS was just an example
Okay.
of the use of the screen.
Okay. I'll hand over to somebody else. I don't want to rob all the time. Go ahead, guys. Thank you very much.
If I may. Thank you guys for your presentation. Actually, Dennis asked a couple of questions that I have. My first question to you, do you have a name for a product?
No, we don't
No.
really have a name.
Okay. My question was, I have a follow-up question on the GPS part, which you said is just an example, which makes sense now. My question was, how would you expect that GPS to work? Usually there should be some sort of input if I want to look for something, or how does it work? How do you expect the GPS would work on that small screen?
Yeah, so all the detachable and changeable parts can be programmed beforehand because the current product is also, the cables can be changed also beforehand, before people go on a mission or soldiers go out. So this is the same with the GPS. It can just be plugged in or connected with a computer. The codes can be entered, and it can be adjusted with small buttons, but it's mainly, it's supposed to be programmed beforehand, before they go on a mission. So it's more of a locator. So because it's a very small device, it's just a small add-on for if there is not a big GPS needed. So this
got it. Thank you. I have two other questions, if you don't mind. One, you mentioned on slide 5 that it is a variable size. Maybe I misunderstood it. What do you mean by variable size?
Oh, the attachments. So as you can see, the left one on the screen right here is a smaller unit, but we had also plans for if you have a bigger drone or a robot, you can have a longer attachment with multiple joysticks, so it can be used.
Oh, different types of product, basically.
Yeah, it depends on the device, on the robot. How big is it? What kind of functions does it have? So then it can depend in the length.
Okay, so regarding that, my next question was on the marketing plan. By the way, I'm not from the business background, so forgive me if I am not to the point. The marketing is based on probably some sort of assumptions on the type of devices that the military is going to purchase. How small group was that you mentioned in the last slide that you want to start with? It seems that you have a plan for the market which shows your profit. The details were kind of missing. I'm interested in knowing the details.
So we came to the conclusion of 77,000. Is we just tallied up the amount of members in the specialists and in the special forces, and that amounted to 77,000. So it's not that large of a group. But the product is quite expensive, and as I also mentioned in the target segment part, these are also the units who will most often be granted these kind of technologies, so they definitely have the budget for it.
So if you have a competitor, for example, there's a competing company with you, how do you compete with the company to convince your client to buy your product?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think because we have that extended part that makes us unique. That's also one of the reasons why we ask $1,400, but you can also ask only buy the basic part and not the extended part. And within the extended part, you also have the base level and the extended level, meaning with the basis that you have a few buttons, and with the extended you have more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wouldn't mind jumping in now because I have some follow-up questions about the marketing. So one of them is, to whom are you marketing the product? So you talked about getting feedback about usability from the people in the field, but there's also the people who actually do the purchasing, I guess the administrative level. And I just wanted a little bit more detail, if you can help me understand to whom you're marketing the product and how does feedback get built into your marketing effort?
One of the ways that we hoped to bring this new product to the attention of the U.S. military was we assumed that the company Revision already had some contacts in the military due to previous products they sold to them. So we just thought we would invite the purchasing people who make decisions on these kind of subjects, and give them a pitch, maybe give them a demonstration, tell them about how it improves on the previous models. So we would obviously, the marketing would be to the people on a higher level who actually make these decisions, not to the people who actually eventually receive the products. We might do some testing with ex-military, see how they evaluate the product from their experience. I'm sorry?
What we also can do is, if they're still hesitant, lend out a few devices for trial to see if they like it, and so that they can choose and be sure of their purchase.
Yeah, and then regarding the feedback, as you can see in the projection here, I made the first month quite small. I intended this to be so that the US military could try out the new product on a limited number of units and see how they liked it, and then maybe get some information back to us.
Thank you, and sorry, so the period is a month, I think you said?
Yes, that was the period. I made it a month.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for the presentation. I have a couple of questions for you. First of my questions is regarding the cables. I saw in the pictures you had basically 2 cables. Have you considered having more for other applications? Is that part of? Yes, at the bottom.
Yeah, so that's just, if you can go one slide up in the presentation. Yeah, so the dongle, that is an exchangeable part also. So that's just implemented from the product that's already there. So there's a lot of different variations with 2 cables, 1 cables, to 2 radios, or 1 radio, or a radio and another device. So that's just going to be the existing product.
Okay, so would the dongle change along with the unit? Because I'm guessing there's a different interface in the changeable unit if the number of cables would change.
Yeah, they can choose to mix it up however they want. If they want 1 radio or 2 radios and another device, they can just choose the dongle that goes along with the changeable unit, and then it all cooperates.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is regarding your pricing strategy. How did you determine the selling price? Could you elaborate more on that, please?
To be honest, it was a little bit of a rough estimate because we looked at our competitors and we looked at our cost price. We made a rough estimate around €100 per device, so that's €200 for the base part and the extended part. And of course, we want to make revenue, so we took up some margin.
Yeah, we also looked at how much the existing products cost currently, and those were, I think the base module, which is already being sold, the base HDI was at around $700 or $900, between $700 and $900. So we kind of went for the same ballpark with the top part, and we thought that the bottom part, which is also quite complex, would probably add about another $500 or $600 on top of it. So we just combined those into $1,400. The actual manufacturing was quite low.
Can you explain the manufacturing costs, please? Sorry for cutting in, guys. Can you explain what assumptions you made in manufacturing?
Yeah, so it's we're talking about a lot of products. So the production costs, especially, we were planning on working with 2K molding. I think that's the right translation, for the buttons and and the different parts to get them waterproof. The internal components depend on the application and what kind of detachable device the buyer chooses. That was a rough estimate of what it could cost, but we think about $100, but that's also with development testing, because we think that will take more time, because that's very important that it would work in the field. So most of the cost would go to the internal components and the whole development behind the product. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, Charbel, you're excusing for cutting in across you. Sorry, carry on.
No problem. Well, I'm done with my both questions. Thank you.
Yes, hello. I guess I'll ask the questions that I think I haven't been asked, like regarding the detailed testing and like the heat management, like the actual the feasibility of doing such a device. Like, does it exist on the market? Are you planning to use existing technology? Are you going with a new design, or is there a risk that the development will take longer? In terms of electronic parts, design software, and so forth, I haven't seen the slides. That's sort of my questioning, but
yeah. So we saved a lot of development time by basing our product on the current product, which already had a lot of development. By taking the base part on the top and the bottom nodule with the cables in it. So the middle part that depends on the application, but the current technology is already there. It just has to be foolproof by picking the right materials and testing it. Picking the right materials. That's the answer. For instance, the joystick, the technology is already there, so that won't take a lot of time. And the software behind it and the programming depends on the application. So we will probably work together with the software company to provide the different kind of software that will be put into it, so that the military can adjust it to the function and connect it with for instance, a robot or another device.
my understanding, so you're using a third party in this case? Like
yeah, probably to develop the software to connect, because the idea is that you can change the parts and you can change it for every mission. So you can use it. It's very flexible. The system is very flexible. So for instance, the joystick is connected. Is not connected by cable to the device, so it has to be programmed beforehand. So we probably work together with a software company.
Okay, I see. I see your assumption. Okay.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to cut you off there. The time is up for the Q&A. So all the judges now make your way to the breakout room, the judges deliberation room, please.
Do you move us into the deliberation room, or how do we do it?
You should be able to move there yourself, and if not, then the host of the meeting should be able to move.
Yeah, I think the host does it, isn't it? As far as I remember.
I think if you click on breakout rooms at the bottom,
yeah, we can join.
Give you the option to just.
Oh, I see. Super. Thanks very much. I'm a bit slow on this one.
And as well, the participants will have to go into their waiting room also, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, are you guys, is deliberation over?
Yes, the deliberation's
is.
over. We just need to go back and meet the team for feedback.
Perfect. Gab, you can just broadcast message to all, and they should all get the message to come back.
Awesome, I'll do that now.
And if they have any issues, you can force close the rooms.
Okay.
Emily, just a quick question. You can help us on this, maybe, and everybody else. It's very hard for us to keep tabs of how much time we have when we're questioning them. And there's 5 of us doing the scoring, isn't there? I think. Or is 4 judges?
It should be 4 or 5 of you, yes.
5. And if we had some idea, if you said, look, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, it means that we can spread the time around and everybody gets to ask a question. It's kind of difficult to gauge it otherwise. Would that be okay?
Yeah, just communicate that with your timekeeper. And we have, I think we have a placard with 1 minute on it. Emily, if you can just confirm, just keep track of that. Just flash it up like 1 minute, and then you guys can know that 1 minute has passed, 1 minute has passed.
Well, try and give us something like, if something like 10, either something like 5 minutes gone, 10 minutes gone, 1 minute to go, or something like that. So at least we know where we are on the clock.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, just communicate that with your timekeeper.
Yeah, Emily should be hearing us here. She hears us.
I've actually, I don't know if I guess you haven't noticed, but I've been holding up 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute left signs.
Cool. We look more closely the next time.
Yeah. All right.
Welcome back, guys.
I'm gonna let you guys go back. Again, thank you for the judges for your time today. I'm gonna leave and go to the other rooms.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, is everyone back now? Yes. Okay, so I'll start the 10-minute feedback period now.
Daniel, you're doing the engineering, are you?
Yes, no problem. I don't know in what order you guys want to do it. Business.
Just we'll do engineering, business, and then we'll do the rest of us will pitch in afterwards, if that's okay.
Fair enough. Okay, so do you want me to start, Charbel?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I guess.
You're still muted, Daniel. Yeah, talk away now. You should be okay.
Yeah, good. So they're online right now, or?
Yeah, everybody's here. Yeah, just go.
Oh,
just
I'm
go,
sorry, I don't
talk.
see them. Okay, hi everybody.
You're okay.
Listen, I guess we're going to start with the engineering. I just want to do a little review. There was missing some, from my own take and some of the judges, critical information regarding the product development, timeline, cost, risk, and so forth, and some of the assumptions that were made. I guess I'll give you an example. That you assume that some of the electronics would fit in the existing casings and so forth. Heat management issues. Kelly also brought some new tech that you guys did not consider as opposed to doing just a simple product iteration on the existing product. So there was a lot of stuff that probably could have been done that was not done, and it's fine, I guess, with the time you were giving, and that's about it for my take.
Okay, thank you.
From a financing and or sales revenues projections and marketing perspective, one thing that we found lacking was in terms of the costing structure. The software integration, for example, the third party that would be doing the software integration or the other parts, we did not feel that those were reflected in terms of your costing structure. As well, because it's the military, there's a lot of testing involved. So that also reflects in terms of the costing and the pricing as well. For the time period, your periods were the month, and this might have been slightly aggressive in a military field to be able to sell thousands after 9 or 10 months, I believe you had in the chart. And we thought maybe you could have been more specific in terms of your market segments, how you wanted to go after a specific segment and then move on to the next one. the other judges, please feel free to pitch in.
I have two comments regarding the presentation and engineering part of it. I would like, I expected to see some sort of product introduction for people who don't have any background in the case or military background. Probably would have been nice to have some sort of functionality description of the product and then go into the details of it. And one thing regarding the engineering part of it, as Daniel mentioned about the several assumptions that were made, in terms of software that you mentioned that it could be customized, it could be consulted with a software company. It would have been nice to provide some sort of detailed information, what would be, for example, the platform and how much would be the time cost or the dollar cost for the implementation, etc.
Okay, I just, sorry, go ahead, Linda. Ladies first.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I kind of liked how you did your presentation, the slides. I thought that most of them were quite well done. There were some that were a little bit too small to read. And you did say, okay, that one is a little small, but it's better to try to avoid having to apologize for any of your slides. But other than that, I thought that most of them, were very clear and it went quite well. I thought it interesting that you chose to do sort of minimal changes because that meant that you could sort of get involved with the product development, the additions quite well. But of course, it meant that it wasn't quite as innovative as we thought it might have been, with them being as minimal as you were with the changes that you made. The flexibility, being able to, you talked about flexibility across missions, but you could have also looked at flexibility across individuals, and their usability and that sort of thing, the heat, the cold, and so on. So that was something else that I was looking for in terms of innovation. So I think it was a sensible decision to minimize the additions, but I think at the same time, I'd have liked to see a little bit more push into that innovation that had to do with flexibility across people.
I just echo some of the comments made already. I think overall, yes, I liked the presentation. It was clean and it was pretty clear overall. There was a few bits and pieces. It's difficult when we're here and you're there, how big or small the screen is. So again, the clarity. I would have liked to seen a bit more innovation. I think certainly areas like hands-free, voice recognition, eye motion, head motion is all technology currently used at the high end in the military. And if you're dealing with special forces and special mission people, that type of technology could have been, so you could have used the glasses system. You could have made assumptions there and said, look, the device is going in this direction. So you could have been a bit more innovative on that side. I would have liked to see you being a bit more courageous and a bit more adventurous in your innovation. I think it would have helped a lot. The other area I would have liked to see more detail. You may have it, and if you had it, you should have told us. Was really around what assumptions you made around the costs, how they broke down. And like, for example, that device could have been, it's an interface device. It could have had technology built into it, which provides some smart integration, and you use the glasses and radios as normal. So there's a few different things you could have done there. And I think it's for the next legs of the competition, I think you need to get a little bit more into the engineering and a bit more thought put into then, that, as Linda was saying, the target markets. Who are you really trying to target and what do they need? And I would say in a lot of cases, again, on follow-on cases from this, try to push the technology a bit further. It needs to be, realistic, but you need to be adventurous. It's a balancing act. And so, look, well done. And I say you kept in time, you presented nicely as a team, you blend well together. And looking forward to seeing you in further rounds. So well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we okay, Emily?
Yeah, you have 1 minute left.
Do we tell jokes or what do we do?
I don't mind saying that I really am please, this remote setting is so strange and so challenging. And so I think that with the 4 of you being in 4 different places, I'm just amazed at what you were able to pull together in six hours. So congratulations on that, friend.
Also, what's very funny is for us, it's 10 o'clock in the evening now. And for you, it's like around 4, I believe.
Yes.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Not if you're in Ireland, it isn't. I'm only an hour. I've only an hour difference with you guys.
So it's really weird for us. Like when you start, you said, yeah, 9 o'clock, and we're oh no, it's 3 in the afternoon now. So yeah, that was very funny.
It'll be funny. I'll be still here at 1 o'clock. Well done.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure what exactly we have to do now.
Do you have, just before the time runs out, do you have any questions of us, any questions we didn't answer, any feedback we didn't give you that you would find useful?
Me, it was pretty clear.
Yeah, I think so.
And especially your advice on push innovation. Try to see what kind of limits you can find and be adventurous. So we will try that next time.
Be courageous. That's our company motto.
Yeah.
Be courageous but safe. That was good.
Right. So the next, since we were running behind, the next team is actually waiting to come in now for their presentation.
Let's go.
I'll ask previous teams, they can please leave the room now, and thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Good luck.
See you in the next round. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Are we all happy with the amount of question times we're getting each guys to ask the teams? Are we happy enough with the split? Okay. We'll watch you. We'll watch Emily for the content.
You remember to look at Emily. That's right.
Just watch Emily. Just do a kind of funny shapes for 5, you know, 5, something like this. Catch our attention.
So Emily, do we have a minute to just complete our scoring, or are the others coming right away?
They're coming right in, are they?
They're right here. Okay. So
yeah, sorry, it's because we were running behind before, so now they're all coming. But after then, there's going to be a break.
I have I put everything in text file, so you can enter it after.
Perfect.
So for the participant that just joined.
There's an early here.
Hi, so for the new participants that just joined, I'm going to assign you to a room. Just say you're going to join in later. You're going to go into that room when the judges are deliberating. Is that okay?
For sure.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. After that, we'll be ready to start. And same for you, Rui. Just say you're going to go in later.
Hi, everyone. So I'm the timekeeper for this part of the competition. So I just want to let you know the schedule. So it is going to be a 15-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute Q&A period with the judges. Then the judges will go into a separate room where they'll have a deliberation period, and then they'll come back and there'll be a 10-minute feedback period. So I have my camera on the whole time, and I'll give you time warnings for your presentation when you have 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute left. So I guess we'll start at 4:25. If you could just bring up your presentation.
So I'm not starting yet. I just want to get a confirmation that the slides you can see from slide to slide, correct? Okay.
Yep, everything looks good.
Awesome.
All right, so if you're ready to start, go ahead.
Good morning, Revision, and welcome to a revision of the future of military technology. We are the innovators. Myself, I'm Andrew Harold. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, alongside Tim Noy, Chief Financial Officer, Matthew Hall, Chief of Systems Engineer, Colin Silver, Chief Materials Engineer. So one thing we really wanted to ensure was that we were focusing in on your values and beliefs as a company. We understand that you have a clear vision, a clear purpose, and because of that and your focus, you have become world renowned as the largest company within lens technology for the military industry. You guys deliver protection and enhancement systems worldwide. So what are objectives that are what are the objectives that we're looking for upon this? So our objectives are, apologies, the thing had froze. So our objectives. Okay, perfect. Our objectives. So quickly, protective and enhancing our gear. We want to make sure that the protection is key as military individuals protect our nation. We want to make sure that they're comfortable and simple to use, as military lifestyle can be very hardcore, and to ensure that throughout any environmental factor, that comfort is up at the top. We want to make sure that your company has been built and will continue to reflect the innovative operations and ideas that your company continues to possess and grow within that military industry. So our problem statement: how might we establish a simple, ethical, and environmentally friendly solution to enhance Revision's product portfolio to further improve protective equipment usability within the combat setting? So we looked at two alternatives.
So alternative one is an all-in-one product with helmet and glasses. The benefits of this would be a one-stop for safety gears that gives the soldier full head and face protection and avoids that gap between the helmet and the glasses. It's also cost-effective from a procurement standpoint, as there's only need to purchase one product rather than two. Our second alternative would be innovation on physical connection. This is removing the cord component of the comm sensor 2 that many soldiers were saying that interfered with their movement. This decreases the chance for hardware malfunction, but also it can be attached anywhere on the body. Thanks, Andrew. So using a weighted distribution mix, we weighed in our three alternatives. So the all-in-one helmet and glasses, the advanced HID communication system, and the innovation on physical connection, the removal of the cords. So based on all three of those choices, the one that ranked the best on the criteria that we selected: profitability, return on investment, ease of implementation, comfortable and simple, innovative and upgradable, we went with the advanced HID communication system, as it scored 650 compared to 460 and 324.
So our final recommendation for your technology is not to improve your technology necessarily, but to upgrade how you use it. So what we have done to improve the Comm Center 2 tactical helmet is we've removed the necessity of the cord between the headset and the HID. And we've also integrated the app that soldiers can use on their phone to adjust settings to adjust headset settings. And we've integrated that into your HID to make an all-in-one seamless product to connect with your headset. Next slide, please. So the first thing we have to consider when making this product is that military electronics have to be rigorously tested before they can be inducted into the US military. So here are on screen are some of the tests they have to stand up to. Next slide, please. So that's the final list, and they all boil down to a few main topics. First of all, they need to be drop and impact resistant. Second of all, they need to be thermal resistant. And third of all, they need to be electromagnetic compatible. So we'll need a very tough case to fit this into, and the key to this case is layering. The outside layer will be made of carbon fiber because it has good specific heat capacity and won't break down under heat easily. It provides a very nice finish to the product. It's light and it's lightweight. Under that, we'll have aluminum because, again, great specific heat capacity, and it stands out great to electromagnetic attacks and interference that it could come under. And under that, we have sorbothane, which is which is a plastic-like material with an amazing damping coefficient. So it's super shock absorbent. And under all of that, we have the plastic where the user can put in his phone and where the rest of our hardware will be. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Colin. So to start off, we would insert a Bluetooth chip into the headset, as you can see in the headset picture there. And we could rewire that cord that's coming out of it into the blue chip electric circuit board. And it would also connect to the battery that's already in the headset. So there wouldn't have to be a whole lot of change there. For the case, there would also be a Bluetooth chip there so that there could be seamless communication between the HID and the headset with no cord. We'd also use all three of the materials that Colin was talking about to make a strong case. We take your current HID and take it apart and take all the components from that and actually fit them into our case. So there wouldn't really be any change in hardware there. And the case would just also have a top on it connected with hinges so that it would be extra strong. Next slide, please. So basically we reinvented all of the material that you guys were already using, and we made it all in one. So it would cost $300. It would be very light. It would weigh approximately 445 grams, and it could be worn anywhere on the body. It's just gonna have a clip on it. So it could be attached to where the current HID was worn, or it could be attached to your backpack or anything like that. And it's getting rid of those wires that inhibited the soldiers from touching the buttons that they needed to. And by including the phone, we're also looking forward to when robots and unmanned vehicles and things like that are going to be used. And we incorporated the app for that.
So for the startup of this product, there's a few costs involved in it. So the research and development, we're dedicating $2 million to that in the first year of operations. The first year gross revenue will be quite lower because the $2 million is absorbed in the first year. There's also an incremental sales staff of $3 million annually to move this product, and that will continue to grow as the revenues continue to grow. And then total cost of the product in year one, based on our unit production forecast, is $6.72 million, as a total initial investment of $11.72 million. So the United States military is comprised over 1.12 million active serving members. So the first year, we're going to contract out for 2% of active serving members to be using this product. And then following that, of successful launch, will be 4% and then 8%. That's going to continue to grow on a contractual basis. Then after year 5, we anticipate the product success will lead to nearly 50% of the US military's personnel to be using the device. So this product is extremely capital intensive. It's $300 unit cost. It's on the market for $400. So the first couple of years of operations, the research and development will absorb those costs. That's why you're seeing a net income on the negatives there. Cost of goods sold fairly sticky at 70% of the selling price because of the technologically advancement of the product. And earnings will incrementally increase on the contractual basis set out with the United States military. So the initial years will be really crucial in success of the product.
So moving into our distribution model, we know that your company is killer within the manufacturing area. World-class optical manufacturing facility located in Vermont. Not only that, you produce millions of lenses per year. Once again, not only are you producing high quantities, but you also have shared services all within this manufacturing facility. So moving into your shipment, how do you transport your products out? Using United States Postal Service, shipping rates do vary, but as we are talking about the United States, it should be a relative $2 to $3 variance when working from East Coast to West Coast of the United States. We want to make sure it does reach our dealers. We have both physical and online dealers of 32 stores all the way across the United States. Predominantly, most of them are in the Atlantic region of the US. So here's a quick little map. As you can see, very much the Atlantic coast. Predominantly, there's a lot of military hubs as well, and a lot of international expansion opportunities for us to take advantage of. So last but not least, our consumers, our target audience, the US military. We know, once again, over 1 million of them are active members across the Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force. So let's dive into it, their behavior. We know that loyalty, respect, and integrity and courage are key behavioral traits within the military personnel. We want to transition those behavioral traits into our product, as it is something new, but still hosts a lot of the supply chain aspects, such as the research, expertise, and manufacturing, as well as materials that our customers are comfortable with. We want to ensure that their comfort transitions to the Navy and Army first, as we will then move forward to the Air Force. That being said, we want to ensure that the busy working lifestyles is not affecting the mental health of all military personnel, as leveraging relationships are key for the success of this product, as word of mouth is very prominent within military personnel and the industry. Last but not least, we want to ensure that we're focusing on the United States first. They have 800 military bases around the world, which will allow for perfect expansion. Once again, our product is a modified HID that doubles as a protective case and a phone that operates with your app. We also want to provide the same controls as the original system to simplify the user capabilities. Our place, once again, starting in the US, if we prove successful, we will move internationally. With our international shipping, costs may rise, but as we have proven to increase profit from year 4 to 5, we are excited to see what international opportunities arise. So our price, once more, we know the base price is $400 and the end product is sold for $300. Our marketing expense is 18% of the revenue of the previous year, which makes our net profit in year 2 and 3 a little bit lower until we start to see that return. Once again, our promotions, we're going to look at 4 different areas. I've put together a little trade show example for you, but exclusive promotion of military. We want to immerse our brand within the military community to have massive word of mouth opportunities. We also recognize that you host a 30% discount off all eyewear and accessories that we might want to transition into a discount of this new HIV modification. We want to ensure that Twitter is an international educational hub across all industries within the military realm. As well, our website is where we are going to educate our consumers. Our emails to keep us up to date with all of our clients, as well as any partnerships or opportunities we may choose to select moving forward. Last but not least is our trade shows and talent sales teams. We need those talent sales teams to be able to man all of the United States. There's 4 regions of West, Midwest, South, and Northeast. And by having those sales teams put in place strategically will allow for great success. Those trade shows, we want to ensure that sales teams are represented at those trade shows through and through to enhance negotiations, orders. But the trick to trade shows, especially within the military industry, is understanding what your competitors are doing. And that is key to maintain your competitive advantage, as well as gather those low-hanging fruit of military veterans and active members to grab hold of this new revolutionary solution and take your company higher and higher into the competitive world. Moving into our engineering plan.
So as you can see, we have a bit of a timeline for what our production will be like. So this timeline works on a 3-month schedule. The first month will be initially comprised of an initial design phase, an initial testing phase, and a troubleshooting / reevaluating our design phase. Next slide, please. The second month will finish off the troubleshooting phase, go into a revised testing phase, and then a field testing and focus group phase. Next slide, please. After the field testing and focus group phase, we'll finalize our design and be ready for production.
So end goal, the financial profitability. So 18% is the marketing relative to revenue. So high revenues means higher marketing costs, and that's to aid for the increase in talent with our sales force. So first year profit, the $2 million in R&D is getting absorbed in the first year. So we're also going to face a loss of 1.3 million that year. But by the end of year 5, we hope to crack a profit of 6.79 million. So the risk we've observed was risk number 1 is poor soldier receptibility. End users may not prefer our product over the original HID devices. So our mitigation is stronger marketing initiatives, Contract status, the subsequent years, the contractors will be hinged on performance of the prior year. So a mitigation of that one would be customer outreach and proper product training. As well as risk number 3 is product advancement. It's a highly technologically advanced product and there may be less room to improve on, but our mitigation for that one is to focus on value-added features and establish a feedback loop with the end users.
So for sustainability, we wanted to make sure that all our materials were produced in the US and that we were giving local jobs and stimulating the local economy. And just when we were disposing of the batteries that we used in this, that we were doing that effectively, and we were outsourcing the work to companies that were economically responsible.
Thank you so much for listening to our solution revision, and we hope that we can move forward with our proposal. We look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you to your team for the presentation. So now I'll start the Q&A period. You have 15 minutes to discuss.
I can start if everyone's okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for your presentation. Thanks for taking the time to preparing all of this. My question for you is, I may have missed it initially when you were talking about the product itself, but did you show how the prototype would look like? Can you elaborate a bit more on that, just so that we can imagine it better?
I think I can take that one. Thank you for your question, by the way. The prototype would look very similar to the HID you have now, except it would be cordless and maybe a bit bigger, and it could be shaped to fit to any military clothing that soldiers would need. Unfortunately, we don't have an initial like concept drawing of it because it's quite similar to what you already have, and due to time constraints, we weren't able to create that today.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much for your nice and comprehensive presentation. I enjoyed it. I have a couple of questions regarding engineering aspects of it. You mentioned about the EMC resistance, which is something important that you're targeting, but at the same time, you mentioned that you're replacing the cord with a Bluetooth device. How does that work?
I think I can take that again if Matt doesn't mind, but thank you for your question. We are replacing the necessity for a cord, but we're not necessarily replacing the cord entirely. There's still going to be a port for that cord militaries will have the option to use it if they see fit. So it's really their decision. We're just giving them more freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a backup cord all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about testing. I noticed that you had a 2-week period for gathering the data. How are you planning to gather that data from the military?
Which phase would you be referring to?
I believe it was in month 3, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot to write down the slide number. Sorry.
Was it the
I noticed it was in 2 weeks, so that is my.
Was it like the focus group testing, or like field testing?
No, product field testing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, field testing, right? So what we had thought is that products can work very well on paper, but oftentimes when you get into the applications of them, they're just very simple things that you overlooked and completely missed. So we wanted to take that 2-week period to give a prototype product to nearby military bases and allow them to wear it as if they'd be wearing it in real combat, let them train with it, and let them come back to us with any feedback they had about our product.
Okay. Thank you. And you also mentioned something about soldier's phone. I didn't get that part really. Is it like a personal phone, or is it a military phone? What is it exactly?
Yeah. So the
you mentioned about some apps and
yeah, for sure. The comm center tactical headset comes with a phone that people can download comes with an app that people can download on their phone. I got that backwards. And that app has a lot of customization you can do with the headset itself. So instead of having your controls for your headset in 2 different places, one being on your phone that you might have to dig out of a bag, and another being on an interface device connected to a cord, we decided to kind of like make the case a holder for your phone, so you can not only use the interface device, you can not only use the initial interface device, but you can use all the customization that comes on the phone in the exact same place.
So my follow-up question, which is my last question, is how does the communication work between the phone and the device?
It's a wireless Bluetooth connection, and
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it can be connected via cord, as I think I said in your first question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, maybe a quick technical question as well regarding regarding jamming aspects. So does that mean that the soldier would have to carry the wire with him just in case he's in an environment of jamming and the connection is denied wirelessly?
Yeah, I think you know, if they were going out on a prolonged mission where they might have periods of both, for sure the cord could be carried pretty easily with them because it's quite a small cord. But if the military sees that he doesn't need the cord, it's really their decision to do it if they would like or if they wouldn't.
Thank you.
I don't mind jumping in with a couple of questions about marketing now. You were very flattering, so thank you for all the flattering things about the company. But I would like to know your assessment of the competition. So you talk about building up over a 5-year period. What might be happening in our competition during that time period?
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Linda, for your question. Competition is fierce, especially with you guys. You work within the military industry, but not only that, the technology industry. With the advancement in technology, it will be a rapid competitive race between your company and others. What we found to bring you out of that race and put you in your own lane of success was bringing up a new product that no competition has really developed yet, and being able to skyrocket that to all of your low-hanging fruit first, making sure that people are involved. So that way, as competition is advancing, you also are advancing and solidifying your loyal customers. So that way, when we do get a return, I believe it was $6 million, we're able to then bring in a new initiative, potentially going international, which would, I don't want to be blunt and say wipe out the competition, but when we do expect you to go national with this product, we're expecting great return on all capital and marketing investments.
Thank you. And for a quick follow-up, you talked about the target audience and you gave descriptions about their values and, you know, various things like that. Can you tell me a little bit more clearly how that assessment of the target audience is being tapped by your marketing communications and your marketing effort?
Exactly. So I think across all ends, the most important truly is behavioral and psychological within our target audience. We've already established who the demographic is and where they are located, but behaviors change on a dime, especially within a post-pandemic world. We are not sure what unknowns could arise in the future, and we want to plan contingencies as well as construct strong marketing communications in relation to us as you guys as a company being loyal to the customers you have, being loyal to those customers, incurring any potential unknowns in the future that could affect their mental health, affect the way they talk about your business and talk about their experiences within the military industry. So really, what I've read in the case as well as great human resource team available is maintaining that positive relationship, making sure that not only are we there for when things go right, we're there when things go wrong, and that together your consumers and the company are kind of a package duo into success. So that's really how we want to connect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a try. Ali, I think it was this time all my questions. I think Ali, you grabbed all my good ones, so well done. Good revenge. Sorry, but I put down the headset properly. Thank you very much, guys. It was a very impressive presentation, and you made really good use of the data within the case material. I like the way you brought in, all the testing and stuff. You clearly read the case well. So that was very impressive for me. So when I was going back to look at the design, I'll talk a little bit about the design and a little bit about the timeline. The design, in essence, what you're doing is you're retaining the existing headset, you're retaining the existing device, the connector, but you're removing the cable as an option. So you're putting a Bluetooth into the integrating device and a Bluetooth into the headset. In essence, is that what you're offering, or have I missed something?
I can take that. I think we're offering a little bit more, because like in this case competition, you came to us with a great product, so we really didn't have too much on that end to fix. So what we had thought of is, it seemed like where there was a bit of resistance with your product, it came down to how people were using it. So we wanted to, you can have all the right parts, but if they're not in the right place, nothing's going to work. So we wanted to make sure the parts are already in a good place, but we wanted to make sure they were in the perfect place. So we took the kind of 2 control centers that you might have for your headset, and we integrated them into one. So we took the app that you can use on your phone and made the HDI or HID for the headset a pseudo phone case as well, so you can access all those settings from the same place. You can toggle on and off your mic and that. So I think, to answer your question a bit more concisely, we did also integrate the phone within the HDI or HID, sorry.
Okay, and you talk then about, and if the cable is removed, how does the headset get power then?
The headset has a battery pack itself, I'm pretty sure. And
it's a separate device as far as I know.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the brown thing, which is connected up, I would assume, connected up to the cable.
Yeah, we do have, we did in our product talk about having an extra battery for the headset, I think. And as well, if that battery runs low or something happens, there is an option for a cable connection.
So you're talking then about including a modification to the headset now, which would include the addition of a battery into the headset?
I believe so, yes.
And how big or small would that battery be, do you think, to give a reasonable, say, 6-hour usage?
To be being reasonable, it might be, larger than one might like for a headset they take a Zoom conference call with. But when you can integrate that with a military helmet, the battery pack could be placed on the helmet at any location or anywhere like that. So I really don't see that being a large issue.
Maybe. Okay, so currently it's not in the design, but what you're saying is if it was needed, it could be added. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah.
Okay. The other piece, I suppose, is the okay, just on the timeline then, can you pop up the slides again for me if you don't? You had some more testing, you had a plan, and it was over a few months, wasn't it? A couple of months?
Yeah, 3 or so.
So how long do the different tests take, do you think? How did you actually calculate those times?
So unfortunately, due to time constraints, we couldn't actually calculate the time. We had to ballpark it a little bit. But as you can see by the day count up on the top, you can roughly estimate how many weeks or days each phase would take.
So just talk me through the testing again, if you wouldn't mind. If you go up to slide number 39 very quickly, I won't go through it. Just to make sure I fully understand, I just need to put just need to move the picture.
In the initial design phase, that's where we'd be kind of fleshing out this idea of our product a little bit more.
And that's about 2 weeks, is it? 2 weeks lapse time. And then it's a week for initial testing phase. And what's in the initial testing phase? Just give me a few ideas of what you think you do there.
So in that section, it's a little bit small because in that phase, what I think me and Matt really wanted to focus on was making sure our product could pass all of the tests that the military would be running on our product. So a week is all I think is necessary.
That's fair. And
to
then
see
you
if
do
it
the
passes or doesn't.
troubleshooting and you reevaluate the results of the task on the next time. And just jump to the next slide. Don't worry, it's going to just give me rough ideas. And then you have a revised testing phase. And what were you going to plan to do there, if you wouldn't mind me to explain very quickly?
In that, we're just accounting for maybe our initial product doesn't pass all of the initial tests, or doesn't pass as well as we would like. So we make tweaks, we retest,
That's cool.
and then
jump to the next slide. Sorry, don't worry. I'm just gonna. I missed the detail in the start. So and then there's a field testing and the finalized design.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any follow-on testing from the finalized design, or once you get the finalized design, what do you think the next step might be?
I think the next step might be. I think by that point we've tested, we've reevaluated, or we've designed, we've tested, we've reevaluated, we've tested, we've field tested. I think at that point, the finalized design would be ready to maybe test a little bit more, but probably head into production.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that is about as much as I have. How much time do we have left?
Yeah, the time actually just ran out, so. I'll ask all the judges now to head to the deliberation breakout room.
Thank you very much, guys.
Participants
Thank you.
also have a waiting room as well for you to go to.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, where's that?
And if I may ask, is that just going to pop up as a notification?
You should be able to go there manually in the breakout rooms.
Oh, I see. Join breakout room.
Yeah.
Your bedtime.
It's 10 o'clock at night here, and I could do a bit of a
not
sleep.
that. Okay.
No, you're okay. You're okay. I'm joking. No, it is 10 o'clock at night, but we're fine. We're fine.
Emily, can you just just check the Slack for any time changes?
Say again.
Emily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm in touch with Stefania.
Okay. Perfect. Just because we had to make a few adjustments. All right. Perfect.
Right. I think we're back.
Is everyone back? Sorry.
I think so. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. If everyone's back, then I'll start the 10-minute feedback.
Okay, so I'd like to kick it off, and I'd like to say that we really enjoyed your presentation. It's clear that you guys are practiced presenters, so that was great. The enthusiasm was great. The presentation of the actual what the problem is was also, really good. The pacing was interesting because some of the slides, there was a bit of information overload, and so you went over them fairly quickly, and we weren't able to grasp some of the details of what was the really key thing to get out of the slide and what was just backing. So something about the pacing left us a little bit behind. So overall, really nice job with the presentation. Simplified a little bit would have been more helpful for us. And I'll now pass over to the others who will talk in a little bit more detail about your engineering solutions and your business solutions.
I'll give it a go. So thank you very much, Linda. Yes, guys, you're obviously very accomplished presenters, and I think your slide format's very good, and it's very, you have a good format, or you're clearly used to doing this. For me, I think, again, I'd echo Linda's comments, too much detail, and the advice I give you is there's some gems of information in what you're giving us, but it's being smothered over by detail, and we don't have time, and you're whizzing through it too quickly. So I would say less detail, more focus on the core stuff. On the tech design, I felt it's okay. It lacks ambition for me. I let some of the other guys go into the detail about Bluetooth or not, etc. Some of the things. But for me, like what really at the essence of it was, you took out the cable, you put in a wireless connection, and you forgot to put the battery in for the headset. I would have liked to seen it being a bit more courageous, a bit more adventurous in what you could do with the device. it's important that we see that engineering coming into play. I like the testing sequence, all the sequences there. Timeline is too short, but more importantly, the sequencing was right for me and it worked for me. So I think from that point of view, the technical, I'd say if anything, you need to work on the technical elements of it more, be more courageous. It has to be adventurous, not crazy, but it has to be adventurous. Everybody can pick the obvious bits. What make you win the competition is being a bit more courageous. So, but overall, you're good performers. So I like to be going away feeling, yeah, look, we had a good start here. Okay, I'll hand over to the next. Thank you.
Maybe I add something to it. Again, thank you very much for a nice presentation. It was very good. I enjoyed it very much. I have some feedbacks. There was one note about social media and email. I don't think it would be a good approach to advertise things, especially for military. I don't know how it would work, especially with regards to what Twitter has done recently. About the engineering methodology, I think it would have been nice to show a bit details to make it more realistic. I found some parts the timeline wouldn't fit in practice. What if something goes wrong? You need to revisit. That I didn't see it in the chart. About the matrix approach that you used, there were some, I didn't ask the question, of course, but I see that there was a different data range that was used in the matrix. So it would have been nice to provide that information. So why some range was, small numbers, some were like out of 100, I believe. So there were different kind of range that was used in the matrix approach. And my final note about the security. I don't have a military background, so I really don't know how it works. But probably I assume that there are certain security procedures that need to be followed when some product is introduced to the Army. For example, you mentioned about the phone, some app. I don't think it would work in the military environment. How would I install some sort of app on my machine? If I'm using like a Google phone, I'm downloading from App Store. This probably is not a bit realistic. So some research about the security aspect of it would have been nice if you had introduced it. But overall, it was a very good presentation. Thank you.
Danielle, would you like to go or do I go?
Go ahead.
Well, again, like everyone said, I think overall the structure of the presentation was very good. And the way you were presenting as well, you did a very good job, I think. Devil's in the details. So in terms of the technical aspects, the fact that there was no picture, at least to imagine more what the product looks like, that I think did not help. But overall, I think in terms of the structure of the presentation, that's where maybe it was more a strategy on your behalf to focus more on that because you had less time to think about the technical aspects. But initially, I mean, you gave the impression that it was a great presentation, but then as time went along and we started to dig deeper in terms of the technical details, that's where we had some question marks, I think.
Yeah, from my part, listen, it was a super great presentation. Obviously, it was a lot of details, like the other judges said. I guess my only question is, you had the first slide where you decided to go with the improve product based on your matrix calculation. How did that work? And why didn't you go for the, I guess, the unproven concept or a new design altogether? It's sort of like a generalized question, but I mean, to use a complete new approach, sort of like, okay, we rebuild from zero as opposed to iterate on an existing product. That's really my question right now.
So if I may hop on, we're not allowed to answer these questions, right? It's just comments and feedback.
That's correct. Yeah, just feedback.
Yeah, correct. It's really feedbacks for you guys. I mean, I think you probably would have gotten more points, I guess, if you would have gone for the riskier design. Sort of trying to point out that to you, but
just to kind of add a few points, I suppose, in a way, a few additional points. It is about working through the fundamental for me is when the battery in the headset issue came up, it just showed to me that you needed to go. I think generally the comment among the judges was you need to go a little bit deeper into the technical design. Like you did a lot of stuff on the casing and the ruggedness of the device, which really started well. And that looked, for me, yeah, that's impressive. But then after that, it kind of, the technical detail vaporized to a certain degree. The other thing actually I would suggest you, when we're doing the Q&A, bring everybody in. So Colin, you answered a lot of the questions. You had Andrew did some, but Matthew, I think Matthew and Matthew or Tim answered any questions in the Q&A. So bring them in, because if they're experts in an area, they could have answered a question differently. So don't be tempted to dominate all the Q&A yourself. Bring in your whole team, because for me that scores better, because I've seen a team, I won't say who they are, I think they're in a competition this year. And when they brought in a certain player on their team who was very quiet, he answered the question in such a way it was totally clear the guy knew what he was talking about, and it gave a lot of presence. So use your full team, I would say. Play the full deck, as we'd say over here. But otherwise, I think you have some you have great potential as a team.
Yeah, so in a way, sort of simpler and deeper would be really nice watchwords for the future. Not so much detail, but really a full explanation about the bits that you bring forward.
Have you any questions you want to ask us on feedback? And if there's something we didn't cover, you want us to cover, you have an opportunity to ask us a question about additional feedback if you wish. I don't have the winning lottery numbers, sorry. You don't have to ask this question if you don't wish, you're fine. Will we wrap it there, guys? Are you happy?
Okay, great.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you. Great.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. So do we leave? Just click leave?
Yes, you just leave.
Okay.
Or we have to kick you out.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. So
when do we have to come back?
So unfortunately, the next team couldn't make it in the end to competition. Something came up, so they had to cancel last minute. But this means now that you have to return back to this exact Zoom link at 6:50 p.m.
6:50. Okay.
6:50. There's no chance of bringing the other team forward, is there?
Yeah, poor guy. Come on.
They all start late. They all start as soon as they finish their 6 hours. They're coming straight into the room, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's 6:50.
Yeah.
That means 11:50 p.m. my time. Just as we're here as a judging panel, do we want to have any deliberations ourselves now, as we have a few minutes to spare, on any of the teams or any discussions, or are we happy just to go ahead and score ourselves?
I would wait for the other team and then enter my data after.
That's good. I'm happy with that, yeah.
Yeah, I put down some tentative numbers, but I have a feeling that things will shift when last time. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I think I'll go and watch TV for a while.
I'm gonna go get some food. So
better. I'll see you later, so guys. And Emily, thanks for all the support. You're great. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
We leave this link open. It's just leave the link open and come back. Isn't that what you need to do? We don't log out completely.
Oh, if it's the same link, yeah, probably we can do that. Yeah.
So what we're gonna, if it's for the break, we're just gonna ask the judges to go into the breakout room that we've set up for you.
go into our
the
break, join the
deliberation
breakout
room.
room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Join the deliberation.
Yeah.
Emily, for the other divisions, do you know when they start? I'm going to pop in and see another division.
From my point of view, Rui, I can tell you that most of them are pretty much on break at this point.
Okay.
I can ask when the next one is.
Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hi,
back.
Emily.
Welcome back, judges. From the Volt consulting team, is your whole team here?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So you could put up your presentation. I'm the timekeeper, so I'll keep my camera on throughout the whole presentation, and I'll give you time warnings at the 10-minute mark, 5-minute mark, and 1-minute mark. Also, the schedule is that you'll have 15 minutes to present, then a 15-minute Q&A period, then the judges will have a 5-minute deliberation period, and then there will be a 10-minute feedback period also. Do you have any questions?
No, it's all good.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, you can start.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to our presentation. My name is Colton, and with my colleagues Greg, Tom, and Fat, we bring you a presentation on integrated HID systems. So the problem that we want to outline here is that Revision Military has an opportunity to upgrade their current human interface device, HID, from working only with radio technology to advancing the technology to include the use of UAV and GPS system integrations. The opportunity that we outlined is that we have an opportunity to create a new product application for the human interface device for use in military application. The criteria that we use to evaluate alternatives are that it must be innovative and upgradable, scalable, protective and enhancing, and of course financially feasible. In the end, you'll see that we have chosen to create a new HID interface which encompasses GPS and Bluetooth technology to allow the user to receive real-time updates of their surroundings through visual and audio services. This project has improved information communication and has a 10.5 million in projected revenues. A little bit about the industry analysis. We've actually chosen to focus on 3 different markets. The first being the military market, that's your general application. And then the second and third are photography/videography, and then hunting. You can see that the largest spending segment is actually coming from the military, but the photography and videography and the hunting give us a little bit of an edge in the prior years before we can get into the government side of things. While making this presentation, we want to make sure that we were thinking big and we were really making it happen. Revision Military, they talk about a clear vision, clear purpose, and they're clearly focused, and that's how we wanted to tackle this.
So for this problem, we came up with 3 different alternatives. The first one is the micro unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV. The second is GPS and headset integration, and lastly is the integrated UAV functionality. So first, I will go over the micro UAV. In that, it will provide aerial imaging of the surrounding area. It is a proven technology in that it has been deployed in multiple battlefields. It is also a cost-saving technology. On why not is that the data collected is not accessible right away to all nearby soldiers.
So for our second alternative, we'll use a touchscreen device like an iWatch on the wrist like this, which is implemented with a GPS technology inside and allow the soldier to know the exact location of the enemies, their asset, and their personnel. But looking at the touchscreen all the time is really distracted, especially when you're on the battlefield. So this GPS data will be sent to the soldier by HID to the headset, and this alternative is also require a low capital cost because each touchscreen device is only cost approximately around $400 US. However, the data from the GPS technology can be hacked easily, and the given location can be inaccurate.
Thanks so much, Fat. So the third alternative that we're proposing is the integrated UAV and GPS option. So the pros of this one is that it can give instantaneous or near instantaneous spatial and hazard detection for soldiers in their nearby area. It also gives full digital GPS system so that they have essentially radar and they can see where they are. It also utilizes Bluetooth to share data between soldiers as well, which we think is a very good benefit. The drawbacks of this alternative, though, itself is standing alone. This alternative isn't enough to solve any of the what we would call ergonomic issues with the HID that were proposed in the case. That has to do with the buttons and everything. What's also interesting about this part is that the technology is almost there, but not fully. So it does need a little bit of research and development done.
With all that being said, you can see here that we've evaluated our alternatives against the criteria. And in doing so, we've actually chosen to move forward with the integrated UAV and GPS functionality. We believe this is the most scalable solution into other markets, as well as making sure that we tackle the primary decision of the company to tackle the military aspect.
So how do our solution actually works? First of all, the touchscreen device on the soldier wrist will be used to receive the data from drones and GPS and all the equipment on the battlefields. And these data will then be sent to the HID to a single COM board dongle. And we have made a small adjustment to the current HID is that we will add a button to turn on and off the Bluetooth signal. And when the data is completely transferred to the HID, the button will be pressed in order to send all the signal to the nearby soldiers. The HID will now be integrated with a Bluetooth chip in order to share real-time information obtained from the data from the touchscreen to nearby soldiers within the range of 40 to 200 meters. This will improve the ability to share information in real time on the battlefield.
So our second engineering breakdown is that we're going to use the touchpad technology to ping and share GPS location between the soldiers via the HID more effectively. So this would give us our second key indicator, performance indicator, in that it will improve communication accuracy and speed.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the financials here. We did a revenue generation model, and in the first year, this is kind of, we're still in production phases within the military, but by the first year of launch, so 2022, we're actually able to implement the hunting and the photography and videography, because those models don't necessarily have as much encryption that needs to go into it. We will have a $10.5 million projected revenue after the 5 years, and of course we have the 3 markets to attack. Looking at the MPV and ROI, this project will have a 25% ROI after the 5 years from 2021 on, and a $2.5 million NPV. This basically is just summed up saying that we have the opportunity to explore other markets beyond the military application, which is what really brings this project to be more scalable. And now I'm going to pass this off to my colleague, Greg.
Awesome. So the implementation of this project comes in 3 parts. The first part is the equipment selection and integration. The second part is the testing and revisions aspect of the implementation. The third part being mass production of this actual product. So project 1 comes in the first year. So the main specifics of this part are the selecting salutable Bluetooth technology, selecting the right touchscreen company to use to build this, and then to actually integrate this into the prototype that we're building. Project 2 is the testing and revision stage, happens in year 2 of this plan. So this involves testing prototypes against military standards, making any adjustments that need to be done, beta testing it with actual clientele, and then advertising products to non-military customers. This appeals to the expansion into like the sort of recreational market that Colton was discussing previously. Then project 3 is the mass production of it all. So this happens in the 3rd year. So we produce and sell the technology now primarily to the actual military clientele. Afterwards, we advertise product in the military market so that we can expand our market share. And then the 3rd part of this is, of course, still expanding into hunting and recreational markets as well, so that it doesn't just have a military use.
So now we will evaluate all our insight with the criteria. So the first insight is improve communication accuracy and speed, which met our innovative and upgradable criteria. The second is opportunity to explore market beyond military application, which met our scalable criteria. And lastly, the improve the ability to share information in real time will met the protective and enhancing criteria for our project.
How do we market the solution? This both looks at marketing it to military application and general consumers. Product demonstration at expos can happen on 2 of levels there. Mobile marketing, social media marketing specifically, and then on-base advertising. That one's specific to military application. Leverage current military contacts. That's going to use with the company's current contacts and be able to leverage them to purchasing the product.
Just like all the projects, our solutions also have some risk. The first and also one of the major risks is the cyber security issues, and this can be mitigated by developed procedures and protocols around information hacking. The second risk that we consider is that the battery depletion while utilizing devices. This can be prevented by display the battery life and backup emergency power. And our third risk is maintaining device security, and this can be prevented by using voice recognition technology. So, in conclusion, the problem that we have to we're trying to solve is to create a new product applications for human interface device or HID for use in military applications and all the recreational applications like photograph or hunting. The criteria that we use to evaluate our alternative are innovative and upgradable, scalable, protective and enhancing, and lastly, financial feasibility. We have come up with a new HID interface which encompasses GPS and Bluetooth technology to allow the user to receive real-time update of their surroundings through visual and audio sources. With this solution, we have been able to improve information communication with a projected revenue of $10.5 million US. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We're now opening to any questions.
Okay,
I'll start with a few if, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I'm gonna start the time now for the Q&A.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a few small questions that I would like to ask right now. Unfortunately, there was no slide number at the beginning before the heading 3. You mentioned something about GPS data not being accurate. Can you elaborate on that? It's on slide 7. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, GPS is a technology, and every technology has an error related to it. So,
and the inaccurate location here, I mean, maybe just like a 1 mile error. And on the battlefield, 1 mile is a big problem, and it can significantly affect the whole strategy of the army. So that is one of the disadvantages of using GPS technology.
So my question, how are you going to improve that?
That's going to come about during the first year, when it's the first year is generally spent with a team of developers, coders, software engineers, and they're just going to be able to hone in on the actual application of this Bluetooth device, whatever that means for the project itself, including the chip accuracy and then what you need at actual bases to make sure that we're able to create the highest efficiency from the product.
Thank you. Another thing about the Bluetooth technology, about the range, it was a bit confusing for me. You mentioned 400 meters. Can you tell me more details? How would you come up with that range?
So I can answer that. So the range is from 40 to 200 meters. And Colton, if you can go to the appendix, we were actually looking at the Bluetooth website themselves, and we were fact checking what we found with the actual website, and we chose the 200 range as it matched with the website that we saw.
But that's up to, right? Meaning if there's no noise. So what if there's noise?
For both of the image that given is up to 226. So that's why we give a range of 40 to 200 as a preference.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm good for now.
Pop in so and just follow Ali. Since my line of question would follow his. Just to be clear, for me, maybe I'm a bit slow. Are you offering an integrated UAV controller or viewer and a GPS in a wrist-held device? Is that what you're offering?
Viewer, yes. It's designed to basically take the footage, the images from the UAV, and then upload it into the system, and then the soldiers or whoever's utilizing the technology is able to share that via the Bluetooth application, and then the GPS comes into play.
So who controls the UAV then? Who flies it?
That's totally dependent on the forces. So a lot of, if this is going to say someone in the special forces, they're operating it, they tend to be the specialists, they tend to be the ones who are operating the UAVs.
So maybe I'll ask you the question differently. The controlling device for the UAV is a separate device to the wrist-held device. The wrist-held is purely a viewing device, and then using that wrist-held device, that signal can be shared with people in close proximity to that individual who has the wrist-held device.
That's correct.
Okay. And I suppose for me, the whole issue around this is security. You talked about the GPS signal accuracy, you talked about the GPS signal being hacked, and you talked about we talked about the range. All of those things are serious issues. So tell me what research you did around the GPS protecting that signal, and also how you're going to get over the Bluetooth security issue. How did you plan to do that?
Okay, I can jump in on this one. Behind all the information, the research that we found is many of the bases that are in place already have certain protocols and certain things that are already in place for the Bluetooth or for information sharing. So when it comes down to this, it would be a matter of the beta testing, so we can actually figure out, where are the losses, what's going wrong, and how do we solve that. Until we're actually able to implement the project in real world scenarios to find out, like you were talking about with the noise that's coming with it, and the security issue. There's obviously
but there are current solutions for GPS, and there are current solutions for Bluetooth. It's not Bluetooth, by the way. It's a different technology. We'll talk about that later. So in a way, I see what the flexibility is, but I think the concern I have would be more around the technology. So So how do you propose to actually sell the technology to the military? Because don't the military buy in large scale contract rather than individual sales?
Yeah, absolutely. The nice thing about this project and this company itself is already involved with military sales. It's their primary source of income right now. So having that, it would make it a lot easier to leverage the contacts and actually market to those clientele. When it comes to actually getting this product in there, I'd say it's just going to be showcasing.
So you're talking about basically leveraging the existing customer base.
Yeah, to begin with.
Okay. So the other issue then, I suppose, comes to mind for me is that to secure the device and make it work, you're going to have to deploy a lot of military standard security. So you're going to end up with two versions, a civilian and a military version, or is it the same device, or how do you plan to address both markets?
Definitely the same device.
They seem quite different.
The software would be quite a bit different, and that's why the military application won't come for 2 to 3 years, whereas the consumer would be available within the first. Obviously, that one doesn't need as high of encryption. On the team that we have developing it all, we have a cybersecurity analyst, and they're to help with the all the issues that would arise with the military, not to mention the tremendous testing that goes through military for new products.
Okay, I'll just pass over to another judge. Thank you for your responses. I appreciate it. Thank you.
If I may jump in here, just briefly, you gave some figures, a financial output, and I was just curious as to what went into that 10.1 million estimate.
Yeah, 10.5. So here we basically looked at, you can see up here, talking about the US military, how we don't actually have figures for the initial, for 2022. That launches in 2023. I broke it down by, this information here comes from the case itself. Photography and recreational hunting, that actually comes from further research, just based off of, the number of photographers, professional photographers or videographers that they are, and this is off of the US model only. And then just took those numbers, I scaled it down to a 5% market infiltration to begin with, and then grew at a growth rate of 12% year over year.
Okay, thank you. I'll just continue studying this for a moment, if I may.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, maybe I can ask a question related to the military version versus the civilian or commercial version. You mentioned that the software would be the same, but what about the hardware?
No, sorry. Maybe I misspoken. The hardware will be the same. The software would be different. The software for the military application would be far more encrypted.
Okay. Have you considered in terms of the hardware that for the military it may need to be more ruggedized? So it may have to be a different hardware?
Absolutely. It could definitely become something that would pop up with further investigation and research within the first year of selecting the proper Bluetooth and touchpad. And that's something that we address as our first year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So just a quick question. You expect a 1 year to market, my understanding? You give yourself
1 year
1
to
year
market.
to beta testing or prototype complete in 1 year? Is
For
that
the
my understanding? Or?
Yes, for consumer. So 2022 is still like 2023, sorry, would be the effective date launch for a military application. A consumer application of the hardware we'd hope to have ready by 2022.
Okay. So that's based on all your components being already built and source existing on the market.
Yeah. So doing the research, like all the components that we actually require to put this together are available for purchase. Bluetooth, the touchpad, those things already exist. It's just a matter of integrating the systems together for the consumer model, that is.
Okay.
Sorry, just on the available in the market, are you saying the components, including the wrist-mounted screen and everything else, is all available currently on the market?
Yeah, according to our research.
Oh, have you any of it in backup slides you can show us?
Let's see. I don't know if I actually had the time to get them in here.
If you don't have them, don't worry. Don't worry. If you have, great. If you don't worry about it.
No,
I
apologies.
just was wondering. Okay. Who hasn't spoken? Daniel, do you want to ask questions?
Oh, no, that was my question. I think you completed it.
Go again.
I have one follow-up question regarding cybersecurity. I believe when you mentioned about improving the security, you mentioned about voice recognition. I didn't get the connection. So if I misunderstood you, maybe you can elaborate on that. What was the application of the voice recognition that you introduced?
I can answer this. So the problem with the reason we come up with that is that in a battlefield, in case of a soldier getting captured or something bad happened where they can take the device, we want to be able to have an extra layer of security in that they cannot receive the information that's being sent to Bluetooth by just stealing that device away from soldiers.
Okay, so you mean like some sort of like a biometric data that you're using in terms of improving. So I was thinking maybe why not using fingerprint instead of voice recognition, because voice has a lot of noise in it, right?
Because we were worried that if the soldiers captured, they can still use the soldier finger and to still access the device, which will be a huge security problem in that they can get the Bluetooth information.
Yeah, the same. Okay, so it's the same thing with the voice. It can like synthesize. Yeah, but yeah, I got it. Thank you. And you mentioned about the like a difference between the software between the military version versus the commercial one. You said the military one would be more encrypted. So I didn't get that part. Why do you mean by more encrypted? Why there's like less and more? And if there's encryption available, why not even using it in the commercial software? This could be a good selling point. Is there any reason that is there any cost to encryption that it is applied to military only?
So I can also answer this. So one way we're looking at this is similar to the voice recognition, is that in some cases, the civilian don't need as much protective stuff like in military use, which is why we say that military have extra encrypted stuff.
So the difference is only in the encryption of the data. Is that correct?
In provide more security in the military, because we don't want those military data to be leaked or to be hacked.
So encryption of the data and then a firewall that would exist.
Okay, thank you.
So may I ask again, what is the rationale behind having this non-military? Is it just for testing? Is it just for an incremental amount of profit coming back later? Or is there something more than that? Because it seems to me that if the encryption is the center of it and the hunting and photography aspect, you know, those customers won't need it. I'm just trying to clarify exactly what is the role of that small separate market.
Oh, absolutely. The market was there for, I guess, two reasons in my mind. The first being it's great to have revenue come in before you really get to the end-all be-all model, just to keep that project alive and showcase that it actually is capable of producing revenue. And there is many applications within the photography and videography and hunting applications that I think for consumers would be extremely valuable. So the product itself doesn't necessarily need to be limited to military, and you could end up having the same encryption program. But I found that, say you're looking for the perfect place to shoot a wedding or something like that, and you're utilizing this image and you take your drone out, the drone goes out, gets the footage, but you don't necessarily know where those things are. That's where the GPS comes into play and actually geotags that location, and that way the photographer, videographer is able to just select it. Same thing goes for hunting. You're able to scan the area, find out where all the animals are, and go from there.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, but the time for the Q&A is up. So now I'll ask all the judges to head to the deliberation room, please. And all the participants, you also have a designated breakout room for you to wait in.
Are we all here? I think is there one person missing? Is there one of you guys? I think we're here. Yep. Linda, would you like to start? You haven't started yet. I think most of the rest of us have nearly started, or we've been early on. Would you like to start?
I guess I'm ready to start. So thank you very much for your presentation. I think that there were a number of issues that we weren't really very clear on. So I like the fact that your audiovisual, your slides had many pictures. It was easy to visualize and so on. But I felt that there was some information missing. And it turned out that some of it was in the appendices. And in a way, there were things that had to do with the financials, things that had to do with the engineering aspects, that it would have been nice to dig into in a bit more detail. I believe that there may have been some more information out there that wasn't presented, but I felt that I was wondering a lot when it got to the question period. There were many, many questions that I had. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of time to ask. But as I said, pleasant presentation, very interesting innovation like extending the market to other non-military sources was very interesting, but needed a little bit more detail, a little bit more rationale. And I believe that the other judges will say more about that.
I'll get in before Ali, because he's robbing all my good points. I'm joking, of course. Look, thanks very much, guys. Yeah, it was very interesting. It probably for me, probably one of the more innovative solutions we've seen today. So well done. I like the fact that you kind of broke away from the standard offering and made a good shot at it. So that's a very strong one for me. I'll echo Linda's points about, you know, the slides were good and they're easy to follow. But I think she didn't use the word here, but I hope she doesn't mind me stealing her point. It was kind of case you went through the story, suddenly it was a bit of magic, and then it happened. I mean, the bit of magic was how things actually will work. So again, in bringing people through the story, it's important that there's sufficient depth. So I think it lacked depth in a few areas. Right there is a secure GPS. It's called GPS M mode, and it's widely used by the military. And there's a new version of it coming out last year, I think. But it is the standard that they use. And also even the older GPS they used was very high accuracy, even for mobile. So the GPS point you made was incorrect. The other issue that was covered is Bluetooth. Bluetooth isn't secure, and the range you gave was really, really optimistic. You know, on a good day with a wind behind you, you might get half the distance. But the reality is a technology more like a thing called DECT, DCT, is a secure wireless. And I know military have protocols themselves for secure wireless already. So again, the concept is good. I think the idea of using the screen, I suppose that the other thing that came to mind too is the ruggedized nature of a screen on your wrist and how wearable that is and how practical it would be for a combat soldier, particularly if they take up firing positions and if they're in hand-to-hand combat and stuff like this. How would that work? again, you need to kind of explain some of these things. If you're going for something totally new, we need to be able to see you've worked through that kind of stuff. I would say overall, look, the innovation piece is good. You can, I mean, that's really pleasing, but you need to get the depth right. It needs to be practical. And again, as Linda was saying, you need to bring the financials out more clearly. The other issue I suppose came out for me was the how practical is it trying to serve two markets, because the security and the ruggedness that you require and all the different testing you require for the military are quite different from the civilian market. And I don't think it's simply a simple downgrade. Like if you're selling a helmet's a helmet. But if you're selling something like this technology and some of the stuff I think that might be implemented by the military, there's no way they'd allow it to be sold on into a civilian side of the house. I would think that would be my gut feeling. So I'll quieten down and I'll pass on to my colleagues to give you some more feedback. Thank you very much for your presentation. Really good, really good.
I had a few things. Again, you mentioned many things that I wanted to mention. And yes, thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it very much. There were a few things that I would like to mention. Always please include slide numbers. It's very good to refer to the slide numbers, when we have questions. I like the idea that you separated the projects into different pilot projects. We had phases. It is good that that we saw that, and it shows that you basically studied and have some sort of understanding how the technology has to be developed and basically sold to the client. I like the idea that I saw the problem statement there. Regarding the devices and especially software, I didn't see much detail or accuracy about the information or some research that required. For example, the Bluetooth range or things like that. Military network is the standards are completely different. There are different devices, so it is not clear to us how the same device could be, used in the non-military applications. In terms of adding more factor of authentication, like voice recognition that you mentioned, is always a good idea to add more factors to make it more secure. But sometimes there's cons and pros, and it doesn't necessarily add the security to it. So this is something that probably required more research. I think I just commented on the encryption. If some feature is available, there's no point to removing it because there's no extra cost. It could be a selling point for non-military purpose, but I don't think the network is compatible. And especially for the GPS, the military uses a different GPS system than the commercial one. Although GPS started with the military, but the standards are far different. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I won't repeat what was said. I had some similar comments. One thing I would have liked to see was more in terms of the costing structure, the production of the final product. I'm not sure if you had any estimates or not, but it would have been nice to see that versus the revenue projections. And the other aspect is, again, the military versus the non-military product. I think overall it would be best to have two separate products, two separate lines of products, because it would be very difficult to combine the two because of what was already discussed. I'll stop there. I'll let Danielle wrap up.
Sure, thanks. Well, great presentation, guys. Super on the innovation. I just thought your timelines for product development were a little bit too optimistic. I mean, you're trying to build something that hasn't been built. It's almost like getting out an iPhone in 6 months. Took 2 years and probably 2 different teams. And maybe my only suggestion to you is maybe build two, 3 different complete products and see the one that maybe could or should work. Because I think you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I don't know, do a different design, maybe with glasses and so forth, in case one of them doesn't pan out. and you lose all your investment. I mean, I don't know if it's feasible or not, but.
Yeah, and I think with the marketing as well, it would have been nice to give a little bit more detail about how you would go about accessing this new interesting market that you came up with. So you had numbers of the size of the market, but it would have been nice for you to talk about how you would manage the communications to get to them.
Awesome. That makes sense. Showing this. Well, if no one has anything else, I appreciate all the comments. Honestly, they're super helpful. It's nice to hear. That says to hear that you like the innovation. And it's always nice to hopefully go deeper into it, right? Get a little more research done. We have to learn how to focus our research and where to really look. And that's what's nice about these opportunities. So, yeah.
You have any questions you want to ask us? Any further feedback you'd like?
Actually, yeah, no, I did have something on with the GPS. That's like all this technology currently exists. So you think it would be? You said the timelines weren't necessary. Sorry, Daniel said the timelines weren't necessarily optimistic. But what would you feel is a more optimistic timeline if these products already exist that we could integrate together?
I don't know. Yeah, to Daniel, do you want to comment on that?
Look, I'm just saying. I was trying to give the example of the iPhone. I mean, the iPhone took 2 years and it's a complete product, and I think he had 2 different teams work one against each other. So I mean, and he had massive teams. So I mean, if you're trying to get something new onto market, you don't want to rush it, and you want to put enough people on it. And to say it's going to take a year, it's. I can't say anything. I don't know. I don't have any expertise on that, but
it's probably a couple of years, all right. I would agree with Daniel. It's to make it work. Timelines.
Cut you
Can I make
off?
one final comment here before I go? Just to say, get everybody in the Q&A. Don't leave it with just 2 people answering the questions. Make sure everybody gets an answer, a question to answer, because they've all worked in different areas. So don't just because someone's quiet, don't discourage them from doing it. Make sure you have everybody who can answer the questions. Sorry, Emily. Thank you.
No worries. All right, so thank you, Volt Consulting, for your presentation.
Thank you, guys. Well done.
And Emily, we're good to just like leave?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, super.
Thank you.
I'll order 10 from you.
Will do, yeah.
We do our best. Take care.
See you. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. So is Emily gone? Is she? So we just score up now, and what do we do?
So